see here. Hello, hello. I know this is replays on, so I'm gonna just uh kind of get started here. And this is my first clubhouse room. I don't really know what I'm doing. But if you're listening to this replay, hi. Hello, my name is Angelique, also known as Anjulique the artist, and I am an artist and a life coach. Specifically, the style of art that I do is expressionist, abstract art. I really enjoy surrealist art, but I haven't really taken the dive into that atmosphere. But I really do enjoy the expressionist and the abstract expression. And this first clubhouse is about saying hello and inviting people into this space. So, the inner creator connection room, what is it about? I created this space with this title to encourage people to tap into their inner creator. I am someone who was raised, I like to say educated in the church. So God has always been a part of my life. And as I've become an adult, I've stepped away from the religiosity of it all and tapped more into having a personal connection with God, with Source, with the universe. And I want this space to be for reconnecting with that, for helping other people to create that relationship with the divine creator, because it does live within all of us. I also was a pretty science heavy student. My initial study for school was veterinary medicine. So I did a lot of the biologies and a lot of the chemistries. And I had an affinity for learning things about physics and stuff like that, but that wasn't like a specific part of my education growing up. But as I've been diving deeper into my spirituality, I've been learning and reading these books that talk about physics and atoms and protons and all of these things. And I believe it was in one of the Neville Goddard books that I had come across. And he said that um, the source energy, God, um, penetrates and permeates and invades all space and matter, because matter is created of um, the different atoms and protons and electrons, and all of that is energy, and all of that was created by source, and it is all of source. So everything that is existing that has been created in this universe is God, is source, is of the divine oneness. I am in my process of learning more about the universal laws. So that's also going to be a big part of this conversation today. And yeah, like I said, I wanted to have this first room be about saying hello and saying welcome and introducing myself. And since I'm just kind of here by myself, you're listening to the replay, it's just me. Um, I wanted to talk about something that came up in another clubhouse that I heard with Raymel Bentley and Priscilla, also in the butterfly effect house. Promo, if you need a space to uncover more of who you are and expand who you are, definitely go check out the butterfly effect by Stacey Henry Carr. There is the Thriving After Childhood Trauma room, which again I mentioned earlier I was in with a few people that I invited. And there's also the Who Are You Becoming room with Priscilla and Raymel. And in this last room, they were talking about um, being aware of your true self. Let me see if I can find it while I'm still here. Let's see, let's see. It was, let's see. Who are you becoming? Awakening to your true self. And it was a powerful conversation. I would definitely recommend going back and listening to the replay. Again, in the Butterfly Effect house. Um, and something that came up was this idea of awakening being like an ascension, like reaching a new height. And I don't remember specifically who it was, but they brought up um, that you can't bring people to where you are. I think it might have been Raymel. But they brought up that you can't make people evolve. You can't bring people higher. You can't make people meet you where you are. If you feel that you are more elevated than them, and it's not to like compare to say one is better or the other. And there's other universal laws that kind of unpack that, but I'm going to keep this train of thought. But like you can only be you and who you are and where you are, and understand that they are where they are. And what came up for me was a very natural example of ascending great heights. So if you're like climbing a mountain, or even if you do something like the Tokyo Tower or the Sears Tower, or like the Empire State Building, like a tall um, building or a tall mountain, you have to ascend at a certain place, at a certain pace, or else you risk death, because your body has to acclimate to the new altitude, and it needs the time to do that and to process that. So in the comments, I mentioned that in the natural, if we ascend great heights too quickly, that can lead to death or illness or injury. And Stacy Henry Carr, a beautiful soul from the Butterfly Effect room or house, she came into the chat and was like, yes, to kill off the old self. And I was like, oh, Stacy. I was like, Stacy, oh my gosh, I wasn't even going there with that. Like, that wasn't even my intention with saying that. My intention was saying, like, yeah, we have to have grace and compassion for the people that are not on the same level as us, because if we try to rush them up into an awakening or into a new awareness, it can injure them, it could cause them to shut down. But she just took it to a whole other level. And honestly, that's the space where I would rather be, because when I say that if you attempt to bring somebody to a higher space, that it could injure them or cause them to shut down, while that has been something I've noticed from my personal experience, and something that you are taught when you start on this awareness journey. Many of the current teachers, a lot of the people who have been sharing this knowledge for a while, let you know when you begin your awakening journey and you start getting excited and you want to tell people how this new awareness is hitting you, they're going to be like, okay, that's great for you. You can leave that over there. Thank you. You feel like, come on, come with me, go with me, do it. And they're like, no, I want to stay where I am, please and thank you. um while that is something that you become aware of during your awareness journey, um, it's also something that you can be projecting. And it's also something that teachers, books, or whomever um, tell you to focus on yourself and your own journey. And that was also mentioned in the room and in the space. And I love that Stacy really brought it internal and like spiritually internal, because when you do aim for those new heights, for those new spaces, for that higher ground, for that next level in the building of your experience, um, you do kill off your old self, because you cannot breathe as your old self in this new heightened environment. You feel me? And this new elevated energy. And I felt like that was so powerful. And I wanted to bring that to the room today because this is a new thing for me. It's a new journey for me. Um, is it a little awkward to be in here talking by myself? Sure. But a part of my old self is definitely dying off right now, because this is a new elevation, a new level in my life. And I just got to keep pressing forward because I want to hold this space. I think it's so important that we have the opportunity to come together in community to be creative and to explore what lies within us as far as that creative power goes. So today I wanted to talk about that, creating new heights. And I'm also going to be doodling while I do this. So I would encourage you also, replay listeners, to get out your paper, get out your pencil, your color pencils, your crayons, your markers, your ink pens. If you want to do like some collaging or some um scrapbooking, you can do that. Whatever creative outlet that you want to enjoy right now in this space, go for it. You feel me? Play full out. Hold this time for your inner child, for your inner creator, because that is what this is for. So, just for me, I drew myself a little frame on my page. And since I wanted to discuss this concept of creating new heights and killing off the old self, I'm going to be doing something towards that. Um, Maybe like some mountain stuff with some clouds or some spirals. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm also a very natural girly. I love being out in nature. I've been that way since I was a young child. Um, One of my favorite memories of me that I don't specifically have, but there is a picture of me. And I remember asking about the picture, and my family telling me about it. Is when I was like three, like 2 or 3, I climbed out of my crib. And like that was like one of my favorite things to do, apparently, was to climb out of my crib and to scale the sides of it. And that behavior stuck with me as a child. I um was also very into climbing trees as a kid, and I will still climb a tree from time to time. You feel me? I am not too old to climb a tree. Got to make sure that the branches are sturdy enough, because um, I am about $1.25 these days, which honestly isn't that thick. You feel me? But trees be treeing, and you got to know which limbs to grab, which ones to not to. But I'm a very natural girly. I love being out in nature. I love going for hikes. I love swimming in the ocean. Um, and to speak of that, also when it comes to traversing the depths of the ocean. There, that rule applies also with the ascension and the descension. You feel me? So like, ooh, this is coming through for me. When you are going down into the depths of the ocean, um, you have to move at a specific pace. Otherwise, you will be crushed by the water. You will, um, again, have those same kind of um, ailments happen with your joints, your lungs, your blood pressure, all of those things. And also, like if you're scuba diving or um, submarining or whatever, anything that you're going into like the depths of the water, you have to be mindful of the pace that you're going. Otherwise, you can mess yourself up. And that's the same thing when you're doing your self discovery journey, when you are creating a new version of yourself. It's important to go into those depths to see what's down there at the bottom of your soul, of who you are, to really get to that core, that center, that magma that is running who you are, and see what is going around in there, bubbling around in there, and really face that. And that can be really dark and scary. And again, if you are not moving at the proper pace, you can shut down. And again, if you're trying to take another person to one of those places and they're not prepared, they can shut down. That can cause injury. You feel me? And then as you're coming back up, you can't just shoot back up. You have to give yourself the proper pace to um, resurface. That's the word. So again, when you're going through your journey of self-discovery, when you're creating a new version of yourself, going through that first layer of awareness, finding out who you are, doing your shadow work, okay, you have to allow yourself time to come back up into the light of the day and into the world. And somebody who really helped me to understand that is Lisa Nichols. She is a motivational speaker. She's a transformational coach. She's a founder of Motivating the Masses and Motivating the Teen Spirit. I went to Speak and Write, one of her most notorious conferences, as far as I'm aware. And I went twice. I went virtually in 2018, and then I went in person in 2019. And it's a training opportunity to learn how to speak, but it's also a beautiful community connection opportunity. It's really unlike anything I've ever experienced, but I hadn't really been to any other conference things prior to that. So honestly, the bar set way, way high. Thanks, TT Lisa. But she talks about this speaking tool called the Valley, where you start off with like who you are, where you are now, and then you go down into like one of your shadow moments, one of those dark, deep moments, emotional moments, and then you rise back up into your possibilities and where you're headed and um, what you're aiming for and how you got out of that, so that people aren't stuck in the muck, in the darkness of what you're sharing. Because again, when we're going through this journey of life and we are sharing our experiences, a lot of times those shares are for our soul to release so that there can be space for the new thing. And sometimes we can have a lot to release. And as a speaker who's helping somebody to transform or helping to inspire people into a new leg of life, you have to share those moments so people know you're a real human being who has been there. You feel me? And um, if you have a story or an experience that um, you haven't fully processed, you might go into that place unintentionally and stay there for a long, long time and turn it into more of a therapy session than a transformational opportunity. So she really does a great job of teaching people how to dive into those places at a proper pace and then come back up at a proper pace. And that's something that has helped me to create a new version of myself. Just thinking about the process in and of itself, um, let alone speaking it out loud to people to dispel the weight and the heaviness and the darkness of those lowest points. It really just allows you, when you do it independently, just on your own, examining your life, it helps you to be like, okay, this is what people think of me, this is what I was, but I wasn't always that way. And now I have this, um, and I had this experience that was dark, that was heavy, that I wasn't sure how I was going to get through. But then I was able to get through it and I came up stronger and brighter and more aware of who I am, and I can stand on that part of my life instead of sinking down into it again and again and again. So yeah, I really feel like holding space for yourself to have that moment in awareness and of awareness is really powerful and has been really transformational for me. Um, and as far as it goes with creating new heights, once you can dive into that place and come up again, you start going higher and higher, and you start creating a new idea of yourself because you realize, I'm not that shadow anymore. I'm not that depth anymore. I'm not on that frequency anymore. I'm at a higher frequency. And I want to experience new things. And you start imagining and you start visioning and you start, um, a, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Hmm. I can't. It's it blew away. But you start visioning, you start imagining, you start attracting new things that are meant to help you reach that new height. Your breath and your lungs start to get acclimated to the oxygen levels on this higher space. You start to grab onto the limbs of that higher branch on the higher tree, and it's a beautiful experience because we spend so much time where we were. Even if the moment was temporary, we spend so much time there in our minds, in our energy, in these perceptions and these paradigms that we have of ourselves, in these blocks. You feel me? That when we start to create this new height and this new standard for ourselves, it's this beautiful um elevation. You feel me? It's this beautiful journey of overcoming and becoming something higher and greater in somewhere we've never been before. And I love that so much. And it's been such a beautiful part of my journey. And I'm grateful that I have this opportunity with the clubhouse here. And I'm going to be wrapping up soon since it's just been me talking for like 30 minutes. Um, it's beautiful with this whole app and this communities that I've been a part of. Um, to have new heights to aim for with community support to inspire me. because I wasn't always someone who felt supported for being authentically who I was and aiming where I wanted to go. There was very much a time in my life when um, I was living and making decisions to please and impress other people because they had certain expectations of me, a certain idea of me, a certain perception of me, and I wanted to uphold that because, um, honestly, I was just a young person and I didn't know that I could create something different based on what I wanted. I thought I had to do what other people wanted me to do. And honestly, I could. You feel me? I enjoyed science. I enjoyed the chemistry. I enjoyed learning about animal behaviors. I enjoyed those things. And it wasn't until I had an internship in the real world at a veterinary clinic and I realized that I have such a heart for animals that it honestly was not the space for me because not everybody in that industry has a heart for animals, and not everybody that interacts with that space has a heart for animals. I'll share the story specifically. Trigger warning if you feel very sensitive about animals, also, because let me tell you, I was triggered. So I was 19. I was going to the University of Missouri, and I was doing an internship at the animal clinic on campus. And I was talking to one of the residents one day, and we were on a like totally like down the hallway talking about something entirely different. Don't even remember that conversation because I looked to my left and there was the front desk, and the door was there, and this guy walks in with this German Shepherd walking. Okay, this German Shepherd walking behind him, and its front right leg was snapped and hanging, and it's walking behind this guy, and he comes up to the front, and I'm just like amazed that this dog is standing on its three legs with its paw hanging off. Oh my gosh, vivid flashbacks. And I overhear him saying to kind of paraphrase but not really, hey, I found this dog. I'm not really sure what happened, and I'm not really sure what to do with it, but I guess you can like put it down or whatever. And in my moment, I was like, you were at a animal hospital, and it really looks like this dog is like okay enough to just have its leg put back together or perhaps amputated if necessary, you feel me? But like, I don't think you gotta put the dog down. And mind you, I wasn't a part of that interaction or that engagement or whatever. I was talking to a resident about some other assignment or whatever, and a rage, a boiling rage came up in my soul. And I was like, this isn't the space for me. I have too much heart and too much passion because I really wanted to go over to this guy and just give him my 10 cents because it was a lot more than 2 cents. Let me tell you that. I had at least a dime to drop on this guy. You feel me? And I just knew in that moment that that wasn't the space for me. Because even in my studies of doing animal science and all of those things, I had a few other things I want to elaborate on because I'm going to wrap this room up. Um, but I had a few other experiences where I was just uncomfortable with the way that our agricultural um, industry is run in the United States, and some of the things that they were trying to normalize for us as students of the animal sciences. I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I like this, and honestly, I don't know if I want to eat meat anymore. Honestly, I don't eat meat that much anymore, but for slightly different reasons. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to be treating animals this way. I don't know if I want to be seeing life on the planet this way. I got into this industry because I started studying this industry because I love animals and I want to care and I want to steward and I want to nurture and I want to support. Um, and then I was learning about all the people parts and all the government funding and all of the research stuff and how it's like cool you get to go to Antarctica and study the penguins or go in the jungle in Sahara and study the orangutans and the hyenas and it's cool and it's all fun and games until you realize kind of what the government is doing and how they have other intentions for things and for your research. Um, and I was just like, I don't know, I don't want to do this, but I was, still studying, still doing my assignments, still taking the test, still taking the classes. But it wasn't until I had that internship when I realized, okay, this is too much. So I had to create a new height for myself. And honestly, I'll probably talk about this on another day. But I had to create a new height for myself, and that involved going to some really really low depths that honestly I didn't really get out of until I was 24 25, and I started my personal development, self-development, self-awareness journey, my elevation, my awareness. And I'm grateful that took I took that moment and I was mindful of myself and my personal reaction to it. Because again, I was swallowing a lot of things. I was swallowing a lot of things that I did not feel aligned with. And I think if I had stayed in that lane, in that vein of work, my life would have been miserable. And I probably even wouldn't be on my self awareness journey. And I honestly, and if I did start my self awareness journey, I would have left it anyway. And I would have been in way more debt. Really starting from scratch because I had stayed in that industry for so long and I wouldn't have had the same kind of worldly experience that I've had in my early 20s and throughout my 20s, um, because I would have been so consumed by that. And I actually made a mention of that on my thread. So if you are on threads or Instagram, you can find me at ADC underscore life coaching. And honestly, I'm really liking the threads thing. I grew up during the beginning stages of Twitter. And I remember being very excited about the idea to share my thoughts into the void, but then being limited and then being put in Twitter jail, if anybody remembers what that is, because I was tweeting too much. And I was like, I thought the point of this was to share all of my unfiltered thoughts into the void. What do you mean? I'm in Twitter jail. But in any case, um, all of that has been shifting and growing, and now you can tweet 1,000 times or whatever, or thread however many times you want to these days. So, yay for freedom of expression, open expression. But the Twitter thing just was not really the space for me because it did feel kind of dark. And it felt like I couldn't really do much to change that. But with the threads, I can just mute stuff that doesn't align with me, and it seems like the algorithm thing is picking that up and just suggesting more positive profiles and content, and also nature things and cat pics. So I'm here for that, nature girl, outdoorsy girl. But yeah, you can follow me on the threads things. You can hit me up on the Instagram things. And you can also check out my website, Anjulique.com, like it is spelled here.com, to learn more about me and to see some of my artwork. And if you happen to listen to this replay, I would love if you tag me on threads or on Instagram. Again, ADC underscore life coaching. And if you're on Instagram, use the hashtag inner creator. And I would love to see what you are inspired to create today, with this idea of creating new heights, of, killing off the old self by reaching new ascensions. You feel me? So yeah, that's all I have today. And I think you're just supposed to be like closing out the room, and then do a little countdown. But again, um, if you made any art during this, definitely tag me, or you can just DM me, and use that hashtag inner creator. If you do it on Instagram, I know they don't hashtag on Threads, but they might end up doing it. I don't know. It's still a new thing. But yeah, I would love to see what was inspired in you today, what your inner creator decided to express today. And join me next week at the same time, 5:30 Central Standard Time. And also, I'm going to be doing a collaboration room with Leah Abraham from the Trauma Drama House of Leah Abraham. She is sexual, a childhood sexual abuse trauma specialist, and she has her room. Again, the Trauma Drama House of Leah Abraham. We'll be holding space for teen expression around any experiences that they are going through, that they need space to process, and also for adults who had some experiences in their teen years that they feel they need to process. And of course, I invite you to bring in your paper and your um, coloring materials, your medium, you feel me, and your substrate, and put it all together and create from your imagination and your emotions and your energy, and see what comes up for you, because that can be a great way to release anything that you may be holding in, that you aren't being served by anymore. And yeah, I really look forward to hosting this space, to being in these new elevated space and these new heights. And yeah, I'll be closing the room in 5, 4, 3, 2,